book talk. I'm going to do the best of 2018. I was so sick around Christmas. We didn't get to do this then, so this is a little late, so I apologize. I had the worst cold, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, and that whole week following, I was just in bed. It was the worst. So today I'm going to do the best of 2018. It is very cold out and snowy, and it's a good time to curl up with a good book. I'm going to do 4 books today because the best of the year, I like to do maybe a little more than my normal 3 titles that I usually do. So, one of the biggest books of last year was The Great Alone by Kristin and I have this showing on this tablet because I read it as an ebook, and I want to remind you that you can check out ebooks and they're really convenient, also audiobooks and all kinds of formats. So I read this one as an ebook. This is a historical fiction kind of family saga. They move to Alaska after the dad comes back from Vietnam because he can't deal with a lot of things. So they start, in the wild. They start a home in the wild, and the neighbors help them. And so it's from the point of view from the daughter through the whole book, and she grows up, and then it's kind of like her turning point when she's falls in love when she's older. But it was really interesting to see how Alaskans lived, in the wild, just living off the land. And then there's strife in the community because some of them don't want to welcome tourists and some do. But also it's just the parents, the dad's mental torment from Vietnam, and he kind of, he has problems there. So that was a lot of drama. I really enjoyed it. I couldn't put it down. It was one of the very popular books of last year, and it lived up to the hype. So I'm giving it thumbs up and recommending it as one of the best of 2018. Okay, another one that was a big book last year was Stephen King's The Outsider. So I love Stephen King. He blows me away all the time. And I haven't talked about him in a while. So this is chilling and creepy, and there's supernatural element, and basically there's like a boogeyman that comes in, and Stephen King he can write it. He's so great. And he knows how to actually just take events in real life and that are horrifying and build a story around them. So there's content here. It opens up with a policeman and a detective actually trying to solve a case of a child abduction and murder. So there's that, but they don't show that in the book. It's already happened. It's in the past. So they talk about it, but you never meet that child, and you don't see it on screen, as they say. So like that kind of thing I'm good with. I don't want to see those scenes, but the whole who did it, and then maybe there's like the supernatural element that comes in. It creeped me out. And when I was sick when I was reading this, and I was just curled up in bed, and I was like getting freaked out. I had to put it down at one point. So The Outsider by Stephen King, I think it got the Goodreads Choice Award for 2018 for mystery. So it's mystery, it's horror, and the writing is just so good. Okay, so now getting down to 2 of my very favorites from this past year. I'm going to go with The Pisces by Melissa Broder. This was like the most fun read for me, even though it had dark humor and a little bit of exploration of a mental illness, obsessive compulsive disorder. This girl, it's about a girl, and she's falling apart. She's in her 30s, and her life is just going downhill, and she goes to therapy, And so there's a serious, serious issue, but also like her life is such a wreck that it's written about in a funny, darkly funny way. So I really enjoyed it, and I sped right through this. The scenes in her group therapy are just really funny. And then there's a little fantastical element that comes in here, but I think it's kind of like a metaphor for what she's dealing with. But I thought those parts were really fun, so I'm not gonna ruin it. But just look at that cover. When I first saw the cover, I loved it. So this was fun, and yet it was also deep, and I recommend it. It was one of my favorites. And finally, I read a couple great memoirs from last year, from 2018, and this was my favorite. The Girl Who Smiled Beads by Clemantine Wamariya. This is a true story. She is a survivor from the Rwanda massacre, and she and her older sister got separated from her parents. They lived in refugee camps and eventually were given amnesty in America. So then the book goes back and forth from like she's here in America to her remembering what happened over there and trying to even process it, because she was a child and it's like she had a home and a family one minute, and then the next day it was war torn and people were killing each other, and she lost her home, didn't know where her parents were, and it's just heartbreaking. But it's amazing because like her older sister was so industrious to like save them, probably saved both of their lives on several occasions. And so Clementine, she comes to actually Illinois, to Lake Forest, goes to high school, and she's just still trying to process like everything that happened to her. And so you'll find out, what the way she writes about like her experience is just like, it's just like really beautiful. So it was heartbreaking. It touched me. It was my favorite memoir of 2018. So there you go. It's got some good ones for you. And then don't forget the ebooks. And let me know what topics you want me to do book talks on, and send me a note and write comments below. Thank you. Bye.
If you enjoyed this video, please like the video and subscribe to the Stickney-Forest View Public Library's YouTube channel. Also, like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. The Stickney-Forest View Public Library District, where great things happen.